be screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of, What If Ichigo Enters Negima? Magister Negi Magi. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Mr. Death Rider on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Are you nervous, Hinamori-san? Shizuna asked. Kind of, this is the first time for me going to a new school after being at my old one. Momo said, choosing her words carefully. Of course, that is understandable. Shizuna said, trying to understand the young girl's situation. DMN brat. A voice growled. Kagurazaka-san. You look troubled, Shizuna said. Momo looked behind her to see a girl with long orange hair done in pigtails, held by two pairs of bells. Ah. Sorry sensei, I didn't see you there. Asuna apologized. It's okay, but what's troubling you? Shizuna asked. It's just that a 10-year-old brat is going to be a teacher here, Asuna whined. A 10-year-old kid is a teacher. How's that even possible? Momo asked. To think that the world of the living was a normal place. Thank you. Asuna said, hugging Momo. Said girl jumped a bit, feeling awkward from the sudden blush while also blushing. Huh? What did I say? Nothing, it just seems that I'm not the only normal person here. Asuna said, tears flowing from her eyes in a comical fashion as she continued to hug the poor girl. Sensei? Momo asked, looking at Shizuna for help. Kagurazaka-san, I believe you're scaring the poor girl. Shizuna said with amusement in her eyes. Sorry, I got carried away. I'm Kagurazaka Asuna, who are you? Asuna introduced and asked. I'm Hinamori Momo, a new student here. Momo replied. The two were talking so much that they didn't notice that they reached a class with a sign showing 2A. Girls, I believe this is our stop. Shizuna said. Kagurazaka-san, please lead Hinamori-san to Yukihiro-san. Yes, Asuna said as she led Momo into the class. However, Momo was surprised to see that the class was full. If she was correct, there were 30 students not counting herself and Asuna. But she did notice a brown-haired girl with twin, pink-haired girls setting a string near the door. What are those three doing? Hinamori thought. Huh? Asuna-san, who's the new girl? The brown-haired girl said, looking at who entered. This girl had short hair and brown eyes filled with mischief. She had a normal, teenaged body, slim waist and modest B-cupped melons. This was Kasuga Mizora. Just a new student, that's all. Asuna replied in a bored voice. Oh, okay then. Mizora said as she continued with her trap. Asuna led Momo towards one of the other girls in the class, calling out to a certain blonde. Oi, Aincho. What do you want, Asuna-san? The blonde-haired girl asked. This girl had her blonde hair going towards her mid-back, had bluish-green eyes. She had a wide waist and C-cupped melons. This was Yukihiro Ayaka. Shizuna-sensei informed me to tell you that we have a new student. Asuna replied, pointing towards Momo. Oh, well I should welcome you. I am Yukihiro Ayaka, Class 2A's Aincho. And you are? Ayaka introduced herself before looking at the Shinigami. I'm Hinamori Momo, I came from Karakura town with my older cousin. Momo said, bowing slightly. Oh, and who's this cousin of yours? Ayaka asked in a friendly tone. You'll see, it's a surprise, Momo said mystically. Asuna shook her head whilst Ayaka sighed. Well, this your homeroom class, Kurosaki-san. Takemichi said. Thanks, I guess. Ichigo replied, placing his hand on the door. Oh, and before you enter, you might need this. Takemichi added, handing a booklet to him. It's the class lists, your homeroom class and the classes that you'll be teaching. And don't worry, the dean will try and get the subject you want to teach, so until then, you will be doing maths. Good luck. Thanks, Takahata. Ichigo thanked, taking the class list. Oh, and Springfield. Good luck to you, you're gonna need it. Thank you, Ichigo-san. Negi replied happily. Poor kid, when he enters any of the classes, those girls are going to eat him alive, even Hinamori was doing her best not to attack him. I just hope what happened to me in college doesn't happen to him here. Ichigo thought, shuddering a little at repressed memories of extremely thirsty girls. Okay, we're off. I'll let you handle the girls here. Takemichi said, walking off with Negi following him. After the two went down the corridor, Ichigo faced the door, getting rid of any cricks in his body by clicking his bones. Well, this is it. He said to himself. And with that, Ichigo opened the door, sliding it back. Any noise that was going on quieted down immediately. Ichigo took a quick sweep of the class and counted 22 girls in his class. He then walked up to the desk in the front and stood, gaining all of the girls' attention. Who's the carrot top? He's kinda hot. He seems quite strong. I wonder who he is. This was how it was, quiet murmuring about the new teacher in the classroom. What the hell is with you people? Ichigo suddenly asked, making the girls shut up quickly. It sounded like I just entered a funeral in here, especially with the whispering. If you got something to say, spit it out or forever hold your peace. This caused a few of the girls to giggle a bit, making Ichigo sigh a little while shaking his head in amusement. Okay, introductions are needed, for me that is, Ichigo continued, moving to the front of his desk. My name is Kurosaki Ichigo, and no, it does not mean strawberry. More giggling was heard. I come from Karakura town and I'll be your homeroom teacher for this semester and future semesters to come. I will be teaching you lot the subject of mathematics, whether it's normal math or mathematical literacy. But that will change in future since math is not my favorite subject at all. So, until then, I will be teaching you the most boring subject. But when the old man in charge of this place says, I will be in charge of the physical education in anything that has to do with sports or anything that is related to sports. After this, everyone was looking at Ichigo with rapt attention. Okay, now I will do class register. When I call your name, you will reply with a here or present. Understand? Ichigo asked. Oh bother. Ichigo thought. The new teacher moved to the back of the desk and sat down. But not before he tossed a red cushion at the window, where an unpleasant sound came from. And to let you girls know, that kind of CRP doesn't work on me, Ichigo said with a smirk, looking at the shocked faces. He then took out the class register and opened it. It was on the first 2 pages, Class 2A. What the? 31 girls in one class. That kid is screwed, that's for sure. Ichigo thought, mentally sighing for Negi's unforeseen doom. He turned until he reached 2D. He then started with the first picture portrait. Number 1, Van der Merwe, Sally. A blonde-haired girl with sapphire blue eyes. She is extremely tall. Ichigo noticed that she and another blonde girl, the one sitting next to her, looked like they came from the European countries. She had a slim waist and a decent C-cupped bust. She also had a strange necklace around her neck that ended in a locket of some sort. It had a pale red emblem inside it. Sally giggled slightly, making Ichigo raise his eyebrow. Here. And you pronounce the W as a V in my surname, sensei. The same will go for Sarah. Sally giggled. Sorry. Number 2, Vander Merwe, Sarah. Like her twin sister, Sarah has long blonde hair and sapphire blue eyes. She was slightly shorter than her sister, only by a few centimeters. She had a slim waist and C-cupped bust, only slightly bigger than Sally's. Like Sally, she also had a necklace with a gold locket. In it was a dark blue emblem. Hi. Number 3, Hoshi, Aoi. Standing at a short 125 m tall, Aoi had short brown hair and dark blue eyes. She had a goggled pilot's hat and had a physical build of a boy's body. She had a narrow waist and small A-cupped melons. Here. Number 4, Yagami, Hikari. A brown-haired girl looked up slightly, revealing chocolate brown eyes. Her hair was combed to the sides and held by a pink hair clip. She had elbow-length pink, fingerless gloves and wore a camera around her neck. Just underneath her camera was another odd necklace with the same locket, except with a bright, pink emblem. She had a narrow waist and medium-sized B-cupped melons. Here. Number 5, Noimano, Ringo. A girl with oval-shaped, red-rimmed glasses looked up. She had mauve-colored hair that was done in pigtails. She had light purple eyes that were hiding some kind of personality other than the kind look on her face. She had a wide waistline and C-cupped melons. Here. Number 6, Suzuhara, Misaki. Everyone in the class that noticed Ichigo flinched slightly after reading Misaki's name. He also had sad, forlorn look on his face. Said girl looked up with a curious look on her face, but she smiled slightly after Ichigo regained his composure. She had brown hair that had 2 braids going down past her shoulders. She had bright, blue eyes that was filled with innocence that reminded Ichigo of Yuzu. She had a narrow waist and small A-cupped melons. Here. Number 7, Saatari, Izumi. A girl with dark green hair and gray eyes looked up. Her hair was done in a small bun at the back of her head. She had a wide waist and large D-cupped melons. Hi. Number 8, Saatari, Mitsuki. 2 pairs of twins. A girl with bright, blonde hair looked up. She had her hair done pigtails and had a few strands that reached the tops of her eyelids. She had large, hazel-brown eyes that were filled with mischief and a slight bit of innocence. She was Izumi's fraternal twin sister. She had a narrow waist and C-cupped melons. Hi. Number 9, Kurauchi, Anna. A girl with long, brown hair placed her olive-green eyes on Ichigo with slight curiosity. She was fairly tall for her age and had the top button of her school shirt undone, revealing a little cleavage. She had a narrow waistline and a smaller D-cupped melons. Haoi sensei. The hell is with that kind response? Number 10, Maka, Karen. The class, however, noticed a small ghost of a smile on Ichigo's face when he mentioned Karen's name. A girl with violet hair looked up, with a slight blush on her face. Her hair was framed around her face, with 2 strands curving past her chin. She had hazel, brown eyes and oddly enough, her canines were slightly sharper than normal. She was also short for her age, just standing at 136 m tall. She had a narrow waistline and a prematurely A-cupped melons that were only developing. H. Here. Say. He looks so much like Kenta-kun. Number 11, Hirasawa, Yui. A girl with a red guitar looked up so fast she nearly fell off her chair. She had long, brown hair that reached her shoulders. She had light, hazel brown eyes and a very clumsy-like smile. She has a narrow waistline, a small B-cupped melons. Ha-oi. She acts slightly like Inoue, being clumsy like that. Number 12, Kotobuki, Tsumuji. A girl that looked half Japanese half European with long, flowing blonde hair looked up. She held herself as though she was from a very rich family, but had a kind and innocent look on her face. She had bright, blue eyes that twinkled slightly and thick, bushy eyebrows. So far, she was one of the tallest girls in the class that had her name read out. She has a wide waistline and small C-cupped melons. Here. Number 13, Tainaka, Ritsu. A girl with brown hair looked up, an impish smile on her face. Her eyes were lighter hazel that Ichigo has seen, and they were full of excitement and mischief. She was also quite tall for her age, had a wide waistline and C-cupped melons. Yes. Here. Too much excitement in this girl, that's for sure. Number 14, Akiyama, Mio. A girl with long, black hair looked up. Now Ichigo noticed that she was the tallest girl in the class so far, as she was a head taller than Tsumugi. She had dough-gray eyes, similar to Orihime's, but had more of a fight in them. She had a wide waist and had D-cupped melons, just more or less the same size as Izumi's. Here. Number 15, Natsume, Aya. An extremely tall girl looked up. Ichigo noticed that she was easily the tallest girl in the class, as she was clearly past 2 m tall. She had ginger-reddish hair that went all way down to her ankles. She also had brown eyes that were slightly tinted gray. She had a narrow waist and extremely large G-cupped melons. Another thing Ichigo noticed was that Aya looked slightly like Orihime. Ha-oi. Number 16, Higurashi, Kagome. A girl with long, dark black hair that reached mid-back. She had brown eyes that were lost within her own thoughts. She had a narrow waist and had D-cupped melons. Apparently, she didn't hear when her name being called. Higurashi, Kagome. Silence. Higurashi Kagome. More silence. Hey, Kagome-san, sensei is calling you. Hikari said, nudging Kagome on her shoulder. Ha. Ah, here, sorry, sensei. Kagome apologized. Thank you. Number 17, Rosa, Kokon Fatima. A short girl, just slightly taller than Aoi, looked up. Her skin was quite dark, making Ichigo think if she wasn't Brazilian or Mexican. She has long black hair that had pink ribbons on either side of her head. She had large, dark brown eyes that were half closed. She had a narrow waist and a flat chest. She just raised her arm weakly in the air. What's wrong with her, is she mute? Ichigo asked, trying to sound as polite as possible. No, she is just extremely shy. The only person I've seen her talk to is Masora-san, and she is in class 2A. Hikari answered him. Thank you, I understand now. Number 18, Amano, Nene. A girl with violet eyes and light, brown hair cast her gaze at Ichigo. Her hair was done in pigtails on the side of her head, where it reached her shoulders. She was quite tall for her age, nearly the same height as Aya. She had a narrow waist and small A-cupped melons. She also had a weird, rectangular, lavender-colored device on her desk, making Ichigo wonder what the heck it was. Here, sensei. Number 19, Hinamoto, Akari. The girl who was sitting next to Nene looked up. She had red hair that was tied by blue ribbons at the back of her head, where her hair was the shape of pineapple facing downwards. She had amber-colored eyes that had a small spark of fire. She was the same height as Nene, had a wider waistline and C-cupped melons. Like Nene, she also had a strange device in the same shape and size, except this time it was orange in color. Here. Number 20, Hayarimi, Sawawa. A girl with long, flowing brown hair looked up, smiling cheerfully, too cheerfully for Ichigo. She had dark, blue eyes that had the look of a very oblivious person. She had a wide waistline and large F-cupped melons. Here. Number 21, Kirilight, Mahou. A girl with lavender hair looked up from her book. She wore glasses, her purple eyes gazing at him. The fringe of her hair was long enough to cover her left eye. She was medium height and had a large D-cupped bust. Ah, here, sensei. Number 22, Fujimura, Ritsuka. An orange-haired girl looked up, the left side of her hair done in a small pigtail held by a yellow band. She was taller than Mahou, but shorter than Mio. She had a modest C-cup bust, bordering D-cupped. She grinned at Ichigo, her golden-brown eyes filled with more mischief. On her right hand was an odd tattoo, red in color. Right here, sensei. For some reason, Ichigo could only think of a disaster to humanity when he looked at Ritsuka. And with that, Ichigo closed the book list and looked at his class. He sighed slightly, until Kayawiya. He heard a colossal scream. This caused some of the girls in his class to panic slightly. Why you? What do you think you're doing? You whack. Please forgive me. I will never, ever accept you. Ichigo just rubbed his temples, already feeling a headache coming. All right, settle down. It was just a girl screaming like a freaking banshee, that's all. Ichigo said, trying to calm down the girls. Yup, something must have happened with Springfield. I hope he's okay, especially since he's teaching the same class with that bell-haired girl in 2. I'll just get Hinamori to tell me what happened. The girls calmed down and looked at Ichigo. Said male didn't like the attention he was getting, so he just shifted slightly in his chair. That it is until he saw the girl with the camera raise her hand. Yes. Yagami-san? Ichigo asked as he double-checked the roster. What do you know about the Rainbow Bridge incident from a few years ago? Hikari asked. You mean that freak thing with the giant bug, giant dragon with a cannon and the white knight? Ichigo asked, listing this on his fingers. This made Sarah, Sally and Hikari go a little on edge. Hikari only nodded. If you ask me, it's a bunch of bullshit. Seriously, come on. Monsters? The hell was that anyways? Just a freak terrorist bombing. Ichigo scoffed. He saw the news and the monsters looked nothing like Hallows, so he thought it was just props for another Godzilla movie. This caused Hikari, Sarah and Sally to sigh in relief somewhat. The rest of the class just looked in confusion. Now then, I don't know what you lot want to do at the moment, but you can talk or do whatever you want to do. Just keep it down, Ichigo said, making most of the class to enter a very talkative mode. And here's your classroom, Negi-kun. Takamichi said, stopping before another classroom. Thanks, Takamichi. Negi said. Takamichi just chuckled, before taking out another class roster. And here's your class list. If you need any help, come talk to me. The older teacher said. Okay. Thanks again. Negi said enthusiastically. Negi opened the door slightly and gaped. In his mind-eye, he counted 32 girls, but he thought it was odd that one of them was almost see-through. Yua. I'm supposed to teach all these girls. Negi thought. Ah, the class roll. Negi said, opening the book. Negi scanned through the book, but was confused about something. Ah no. Takamichi, Negi asked. Why is there only 31 students on this book? I count 32 in the class alone. Negi pointed out. What? Oh that, sorry Negi-kun. Takamichi apologized. You remember that girl with Kurosaki-san, Hinamori-kun, I think it was? She is this class for the remainder of the semester and those that follow until her graduation. I see, thank you Takamichi, Negi thanked. One more thing, Negi-kun. Takamichi said. Do try and remember everyone's name and face quickly, okay? Sure thing, Takamichi. Negi said enthusiastically again. Negi then turned towards the class and swallowed slightly. Can I really become a teacher in a foreign country like this? Negi thought. Sister. Anya, will I be okay? Flashback. Do your best, Negi, Nekane said, watching with pride. Don't space out now, Anya replied, waving her arms up and down. End of flashback. Negi then swallowed his fears and doubts down and entered the class, gaining the attention of the class. Ah. He's here. Kanoka giggled. Yup, he's here all right. Asuna begrudgingly thought. Negi entered, but not before noticing a chalk duster falling right for his head. Incipio confessem vis magica. Negi whispered, making the duster just stop slightly above his head. Ah, this is bad. He thought, this is the infamous blackboard duster trap. They've got this in Japan too. Negi then noticed that Asuna was looking at him with wide eyes. Negi then quickly undid the spell, making the duster collide with his head. Chalk dust covered his whole head, making him to start coughing. Era. A girl with long brown reddish hair stated. Asterisk cough asterisk ah. Ha ha ha. I see, cough you really got me there cough. Negi started, hitting his head slightly. He then moved forward, however he did not notice where he was placing his feet. In one step, he tripped over a trip wire, sending him tumbling head over heels towards the desk in the front. He. Arg. Aoeoag. Ugh. But that was the least of his troubles. A bucket full of water fell on his head, covering him with water. That, and 3 arrows with suction cups connected with his posterior, torso and face. With a loud crash, Negi fell on his back, hitting his head with the desk. Era. And like that, the whole class, save a select few, bursts into uncontrollable laughter. What was that just now? Asuna thought, trying hard to stifle her giggling. However, the class stopped laughing when they noticed that Negi took the bucket of his head, making the class see his very young face. H. Huh. A kid? Hey, are you okay? We're sorry. We thought you were the new sensei. Wow, you girls give one hell of greeting. Takamichi said, leaning against the door and chuckling slightly. However, he is your new teacher. Why don't you introduce yourself to the class, Negi-kun? Oh. Okay. Negi said, gulping. That's right, I need to pull myself together. I'm going to be these girls' teacher from here on. First off. My name is Springfield Negi. From today onwards, I'll be teaching English at this school. I'll be here until your graduation. I'm still inexperienced but it's pleasure, iti. And like that, Negi bowed, but a little too fast as he hit his head on the desk. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Negi finished sheepishly while still rubbing his head. There was a moment of silence, so much that you could hear the steady breathing and heartbeats of the girls. Did I do something wrong? Negi questioned before. Kya. Kawaii. And like that, most of the girls rushed from their seats and surrounded the poor child. How old are you? I'm 10 years old. Where did you come from? As in your nationality? The back hills of Wales. Is not whale an animal, Arueni? No, you baka. Wales, not Wales. Where is Wales? Where are you living now? I only just got here now. Is this for real? Takahata-sensei, is this really for real? Yes, it is, Hasegawa-san. Takahata-sensei. Is he really going to be our homeroom sensei? Can we really have a cute kid like him? Now girls, you can't have him. He's not food, nor is he a pet, okay? Is he really a teacher? Hey, are you really smart? I'm fluent in English to a university graduate level. That's so cool. Triple A. He's so cute. T. Thank God. It seems I'm welcome, even if it does seem a bit dangerous here, with me being tortured by these girls. Negi thought, blushing from embarrassment. Don't worry, Negi-kun has all the credentials, of course, but as you can see, he's still younger than you girls, Takemichi explained. Treat him with respect, okay? Hey. But, in a stunning move, Asuna grabbed Negi and planted him on the desk. Whoa! Kagurazaka-san really is strong. The girls were muttering at this turn of events, even Takemichi was curious. Hey, you! What did you do with the blackboard eraser back there? Asuna growled out. You did something weird, didn't you? Oh no, she saw what happened. Negi panicked. I want a clear explanation. Asuna shouted, shaking Negi roughly. Cut that out this instant. Ayaka shouted. Everyone, return to your seats, you're making trouble for our new sensei. Everyone but Asuna nodded, heading for their seats. How about letting him go now, Asuna-san? Ayaka asked gently, before a smirk appeared on her face. Although, that pose is so very suitable for a violent monkey like you. What did you say? Asuna asked in a dangerously calm voice. Ayaka ignored Asuna as she concentrated on Negi. Sensei, I've heard that you're a child prodigy who graduated from Oxford. Teaching has nothing to do with age. Ayaka said, smiling at Negi. So please do continue with homeroom. Ah, thank you, Negi thanked. What's with the nice girl act, Aincho? Asuna asked. It's only natural that I'd look like a nice girl from the outside, since I'm a nice girl on the inside too. Ayaka declared, pride filling her voice. What nice girl? Asuna asked, grinning slyly, Ushota-kan. This caused the whole class to silence immediately. What's Ushota-kan? Negi asked, but he was completely ignored. Ayaka was trembling with rage when Asuna said that. In fact, if you looked closely, you could see electricity connecting the two girls from their eyes. The whole class waited with their breaths held, and they weren't disappointed. Stop these scandalous accusations this instant. USULDN, T be talking, you with your OLD man FTSH. Ayaka screeched, grabbing Asuna by the front of her shirt. Wah! Asuna shouted, grabbing the blonde's hair. I know all about you and Takahata-sensei. Gur. Don't you dare say any more. You. Ah, that explains that thing about Takemichi. Negi started. However, he soon closed his mouth as soon as Asuna appeared before him, and lifting him off his feet. Didn't I tell you not to say any more than that? Hai. Kami-sama. I'm not going to accept you as a teacher. Asuna declared. Why can't I say it? Negi demanded, making Asuna blink a few times. Why? The orange-haired girl asked with confusion. Falling in love with somebody is a wonderful thing. Negi said. The whole class immediately had large blushes covering their faces from this. Kids. That's a heart as pure as an angel, Ayaka gushed. That's kids talk. You're one to talk, Narutaki-san. He's so frank, it's embarrassing. What an amazing child teacher. What are you saying? Asuna stuttered, turning her face away. A maiden's heart is, someone like you can't. However, with Asuna standing so close to Negi, one of her hair strands brushed against his nose, making Negi breathe in suddenly. Ah. 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 Oh dear. Takemichi paled, backing away slightly. Ah. Ah. Achoo. And with the strength of Hurricane Katrina, Negi's sneeze ripped Asuna's clothes to shreds, again. And like last time, only her underwear survived. Kaiowia. Everyone went into shock, unable to comprehend what happened in front of their very eyes. Why you? What do you think you're doing? Asuna screamed, making everyone cover their ears. You whack. Please forgive me. Negi cried out. I will never, never, never accept you. After everything had settled down, and Asuna borrowing a running tracksuit, Negi then looked at his class register. Alright. I'm going to call out your names now. Negi said, letting the class looking at him. The girls were mostly giggling, causing him to flush from embarrassment. However, my Japanese pronunciations is not that good yet, so please bear with me. When I call out your name, please reply with a simple, here, please, Negi said, before going on to the class list. Seat number 1, Isaka Seo. Sensei, there isn't a Isaka Seo in this class, it's either that or she's absent, the spiky red-haired girl said. Ah, I see. Then, seat number 2, Akashi Yuna. A brown-haired girl with her hair done in a pigtail on the side of her head looked up. She had a slender waistline and small B-cupped melons and had grayish-blue eyes. Here. Seat number 3, Asukara Kazumi. The girl who answered Negi about Seo looked up. She had bright blue eyes and had a camera on her desk. She had a wide waist and E-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 4, Iasu. A girl with long, purple hair looked up with a bored look in her black eyes. She was currently sipping from her juice box. She was extremely short, had a wide waist and A-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 5, Izumi Ako. A girl with silver hair and olive green eyes looked up slightly with a small smile. She had a slim waist and small B-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 6, Okochi Akira. A girl with long, brown hair looked up. She smiled and her blue eyes twinkled slightly. She had a wide waistline and D-cupped melons. Here, sensei. Seat number 7, Kakazaki Misa. A girl with long, purple hair giggled. She had brown-colored eyes that sparkled slightly. Her waistline was wide and she had D-cupped melons. Here, sensei. Seat number 8, Kagurazaka Asuna. Asuna just looked up with irritation in her mixed-colored eyes. Here. Seat number 9, Kasuga Mizora. Mizora just looked up, mischief playing in her eyes. Here. Seat number 10, Karakuri Shichamaru. A green-haired girl looked up. However, her appearance disturbed Negi slightly. Her eyes were too bright for blue, her skin was almost white, and she had weird metal-like antennae sticking from where her ears are supposed to be. She had a wide waist and C-cupped melons. Here. Negi also found it weird that Shichamaru had a very monotonic voice, almost like a robot. And was he in for a surprise? Seat number 11, Kogamiya Madoka. A girl with medium brown hair looked up, a sly yet mischievous smile on her face. Her eyes were olive green and her waist was quite narrow. She had small B-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 12, Kufei. A tanned girl looked up as soon as her name was called out. Negi noticed that this girl looked more Chinese than Japanese, as her skin was slightly darker than most of the girls. She had blonde hair that was done in a pigtail fashion and had green eyes. Her waist was narrow and she had small B-cupped melons. Here, Haru. Seat number 13, Kono Kanoka. Kanoka just giggled. Here. Seat number 14, Satome Haruna. A girl with square-framed glasses looked up from her drawings with a sly, mischievous grin. She had long, dark olive green hair and bright brown eyes. She had a wide waist and D-cupped melons. She slowly licked her lips, making Negi more nervous. Here sensei. Say. Seat number 15, Sakurazaki Setsuna. A girl with black hair looked up, a monotone look on her face. She had brown eyes that showed a great deal of determination and pride. She had a wide waist and C-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 16, Sasaki Maki. A girl with bright, bubblegum pink hair looked up. Her bright green eyes showed innocence and mischief at the same time. She had small, green ribbons to tie her hair in pigtails. She had a narrow waist and small B-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 17, Shina. Sakurako. A girl with a very hyper-over-happy face looked up, her bright blue eyes shining brightly. She had bright blonde hair and had small pigtail-like strands behind her ears. She had a narrow waistline and small B-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 18, Tatsumi Yamana. A dark-skinned girl looked up, making Negi guess that she was either from Brazil or Mexico. She had long, black hair and dark, yellow eyes that showed little to no emotion. She had a wide waist and G-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 19, Chao Lingshan. Sounds Chinese, similar to Kufei-san. Chao looked up, giggling slightly. She had dark, blue hair that was done in a mixed bun pigtail style. She had bright olive green eyes. Her waistline was narrow, but she had C-cupped melons. Negi also noticed that Chao also had pink, blush spots on each cheek, making him think that it was a birthmark. Here ni. Seat number 20, Nagase Kid. A tall, olive green-haired girl looked up. Negi was slightly confused as to why Kid's eyes were closed to narrow slits. She had a wide waistline and large H-cupped melons, just a little bit larger than Mana's. Here, de Gozaru. Seat number 21, Naba Chizuru. A girl with long, flowing reddish-brown hair looked up. She had blue eyes that was as clear as water and a cheerful smile. She had a wide waist and large H-cupped melons. Era. Here, sensei. Seat number 22, Narutaki Fuka. A short, pink-haired with pigtails girl looked up. She giggled in a mischievous way and her green eyes were full of mischief. In Negi's eyes, she looked his age. She had a narrow waist and was flat as a preteen girl. Here, sensei. Seat number 23, Narutaki Fumika. Like her twin, Fumika looked up. She looked more innocent than her twin sister, but she still had a little mischief behind her green eyes. Like her sister, she has a narrow waistline and a flat chest. Here, sensei. Seat number 24, Hake Satomi. A girl with round glasses looked up slightly before looking back at her papers. She had black hair that was done in pigtails and gray eyes. She was also wearing a lab coat on. She had a narrow waist and small A-cupped to B-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 25, Hasegawa Chisame. The girl who questioned Takamichi earlier on looked up from her small, portable PC screen. Her hazel brown eyes were covered with large, round-rimmed glasses and her face showed a stern look. She had long, light brown hair. Her waist was slim and she had C-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 26, Evangeline A.K. McDowell. Odd, that name sounds familiar. A long, blonde-haired girl looked up, a bored look on her face. She had bright, green eyes. She was about the same height as the short, Narutaki twins. She had a narrow waist and small, A-cupped melons. Here. Seat number 27, Miyazaki Nodoka. A very shy and timid girl looked up. Her bright, blue hair covered most of her upper face, including her violet eyes. She had a large blush on her face. She had a narrow waist and small B-cupped melons. H. Here. S. Sen, say. Seat number 28, Murakami Natsumi. A short, pale red/brown-haired girl looked up. Her large eyes were an olive green. She had a narrow waist and she had C-cupped melons, somewhat large for her height. Here, sensei. Seat number 29, Yukihiro Ayaka. Ayaka looked up and smiled naturally. Here, sensei. Seat number 30, Yatsuba Satsuki. A slightly chubby girl looked up. She had brownish-red hair and dark brown eyes. She had a slight narrow waist and B-cupped melons. Here, sensei. Seat number 31, Zazie Rainy Day. A dark tan-skinned girl looked up. She had silver hair and golden eyes. She had a bright blue teardrop mark under her left eye and a long red stripe going from the top of her head to halfway down her right cheek. She just lazily raised her hand, not even opening her mouth. And finally, Hinamori Momo, I think. Momo looked up and giggled. Here. Everyone looked at Momo, who just giggled more. Kanoka soon then joined in, and soon the most of the class couldn't stop smiling. She's a lot like Kanoka/Kanoka-san /Ojusama/Kono/Kono-san. The whole class thought. Now that that is out of the way, you can talk or do anything you want for the remainder of the PRD. Please just keep it decent and non-problematic. Negi said, making most of the girls grin. Hi sensei. After escaping from the clutches of Asuna, Negi was walking down the district that was a part of the colossal school. Phew. Now that I've gotten that over with. Negi sighed in relief. Just then, a ball rolled over to his feet. Negi then picked up, until a voice called out. Sensei. Throw us the ball please. Yuna shouted out. Ah, okay. Negi replied, tossing the ball back at the girls. After a few more minutes of walking, he came to a stop in front of Plaza. He sat down on the steps, taking his bag off his shoulders. I guess I failed my first homeroom lesson. He started in a gloomy voice. I'd better talk it over with Takamichi afterwards. He then took out the class register, going through it. But still, what's with that girl's attitude? She's so mean. Sheesh. Negi whined slightly, acting his age for once. Her name is Kagurazaka Asuna. He then took out a black pen and begun sketching on the roll. He drew two horns on Asuna's head and put in the English word bully and boo. Pft. Take that. Negi said, laughing and sticking out his tongue. Then something caught his eye. Oh. Nodoka was currently carrying a large stack of books, and was walking down the stairs into the plaza. That's number 27. Miyazaki Nodoka-san. Negi said, checking his class list. Looks like she's got a whole stack of books. Isn't that a little dangerous? However, Negi was correct. What Nodoka was doing was extremely dangerous, and eventually, without watching where she was going, Nodoka was walking too close to the edge of the stairs. Soon, her steps made her twist her ankle slightly. However, that was all that she needed to fall off the side from a dangerous height. Kya! I knew it! Negi cried out, causing a certain girl to look up in curiosity. Negi then stood up and brought his staff from his back and aimed it towards Nodoka. The bandages that surrounded the staff came loose towards his hands as wind suddenly kicked up from nowhere. Ras Telma Skur Magister. Spiritus Wendy. Negi chanted, the end of his staff glowing slightly. But what happened was even more incredible. Nodoka was falling, but just about a meter above the ground she stopped, as though the air just stopped her fall. Negi took advantage of this and ran towards Nodoka. Just as the spell's effects wore off, Negi dove underneath and caught her before she hit the ground. Ow! Are you okay, Miyazaki-san? Negi asked. However, just as Negi looked up, a girl was looking right at him. Bright pink hair and bright green eyes of Maki Sasaki was looking at him with wide eyes. Negi was inwardly panicking, hoping to all the gods he knew of that she didn't see him. Why? You. Maki started. This is. You know. Negi stuttered. However, none of them noticed that Nodoka was gaining consciousness. Sensei. Nodoka weakly said. However, that was all lost as soon as Maki grabbed Negi and started running off as fast as he could. After running for 10 minutes, they were just underneath the largest tree that Negi has ever seen. Where are we? Negi asked, trying to get the girl to forget what she saw. This is one of Japan's World Heritage Sites, the World Tree. Maki explained, doing a dramatic pose. However, she looked directly at Negi in the eyes. But I want to know what that was back there. Are you some sort of alien? A superhero? A wizard? Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. Negi could only look in worry and confusion. It was as though Maki wanted to know what he was really badly. What if I can't tell you? Negi asked cautiously. Simple, I tell everyone what I saw. Maki said in a sing-song voice whilst spinning on her feet. Negi was now nervous. Okay, but if I tell you, are you going to tell anyone else? Negi asked. Of course, I'm going to tell Ako, Kid-san, Kufei, Asuna-san and Yua-san and all of my other friends, Maki said, looking very giddy. I see, then I guess I will have no choice but to wipe out your memory. Negi said gravely, raising his staff towards his chest. This caused Maki to blanch a bit. I'm afraid you might become more empty-headed than necessary, but I can't allow anyone to know of my secret. Negi said. This caused Maki to panic now. Wait. I was only joking. And I don't want to be more empty-headed than I'm now. Maki shouted, waving her arms up and down. Sorry, but it has to be done. Negi said, looking regretful. That did not help Maki at all as she started to panic more. A bite. De Flora. Negi casted, pointing his staff at Maki. However, something else happened. Due to the wind, Maki's skirt was rising upwards, revealing her bright pink panties. But that was the least of Maki's worries. You could hear the sound of material tearing very easily. Kaya. When the wind settled down, it revealed Maki looking horrified and sporting a bright red blush on her face. However, Negi still got a glance of a certain area, Maki's nether lips. Oopsie. Negi said, eyes wide and white with a blush of his own. However, Maki pulled her skirt downwards, hiding her vgna from Negi. She just giggled perversely. I didn't know you were like that, Eki Negi-kun, Maki giggled, though still being nervous. But that wasn't my intention. Negi cried out. You're funny, Negi-kun, Maki giggled, but after that, I won't tell anyone what I saw, just in case you do wipe my memories away. Negi sighed in relief, until. So, after saying whatever you said, you're a wizard, any? Maki asked. Are you going to tell anyone? Negi asked, staff raised again. He knew that he said the wrong spell, but that didn't mean he was going to use it again. Maki, however, noticed the threat and immediately started to flap her arms around again. I promise. I promise, she said, jumping up and down to prove her point. But that just made things more complicated with Negi, who quickly closed his eyes while blushing. Alright, I'll tell you. Negi said. I'm a Magister Magi, or a mage to put it simply. A mage, huh? That's so cool, Maki said, however she got a more curious look on her face. But what do they really do? The work of a Magister Magi is to secretly assist the people of this world with their power. Negi explained. It's a job that earns the highest respect in Mundus Magicus. We're a non-government organization. However, as Negi was explaining this, question marks were floating around Maki's head. Maki then fell onto her knees, clutching her head slightly. Are you alright? Negi asked. My head, too many big words. Maki complained, her eyes turning into spirals. Huh? What's with that kind of look? Negi thought confusedly. He then took out his class roster book and skimmed through her pages. Let's see. Ah, here it is. Number 16, Sasaki Maki. Negi said. You know my name? Maki asked, jumping to her feet immediately. Negi had a sweat drop falling on the back of his head. Ah no. I have the class register right here. It's going to take me a while to remember all of Class 2A's students. Negi said, causing Maki's cheerful smile to fall a bit. Maki then placed her hand on her chin, a sly grin forming as she remembered something from Negi's speech. But, if my memory serves right, you said that this Magister Magi help people, Maki said, her eyes showing mischief, not knowing she pronounced the words Magister Magi wrong. Could you help me with something? Of course, but it depends on what you need help on. Negi said, glad that Maki was showing no signs of alerting the world to his status, but a little annoyed that she said Magister Magi incorrectly. Can you help me with my marks then? Maki asked, doing the most dreaded weapon of all time, the puppy eye pout. Oh. Of course, it is my duty as your teacher to help. Negi said with a hint of pride. But can't you use your magic to make me smarter? Maki whined. Unless you want to be very empty-headed for a week or two. Negi stated, making Maki whine and pout. Mao no fair, Maki whined. Maki then walked around before a thought hit her. Ah no. Negi-kun? Maki asked, gaining said boy's attention. Is it okay for me to leave you alone? I need to get a fresh pair of panties. Of course, Negi said, a small blush appearing on his face. Maki smiled mischievously, before running off. What a strange girl. Negi stated as he walked on. Okay, now that the class for today is over, where am I going to be staying? Ichigo asked as he and Momo were sitting in front of Kanuman's desk. Well, I know where Hinamori-kun can stay for the semester, but I'm not too sure about you, the dean admitted. Ichigo merely sighed. Well, where is Momo going to stay? Ichigo asked. I believe Sakurazaki-san and Natsum-san will be a good idea for Hinamori-kun. But with you, well there is a place, but I'm not too sure if you will like it, Kanuman replied. I see. Let me guess, with one of the students. Ichigo asked with a sigh. Momo was just watching with curiosity and amusement, following the two talking, her head moving between each person when they're talking as if she is watching a tennis match. I'm afraid that's all I can think of. The only ones I think you will be okay with is Tatsumiya-san and Rainy Day-san. Kanuman said, hiding his amusement. Who? The orange-haired man asked, eyebrow rising at the name Rainy Day. Class 2A students. The older man replied sagely. I see. Well, thanks. I guess. Ichigo replied, standing up. He and Momo were about to leave when the dean called out. Oh, and I believe you two should go to 2A's classroom, there's a surprise for the two of you and Negi-kun. Kanuman said, chuckling. Sure, whatever. Ichigo replied casually. Thank you, sensei, Momo thanked cheerfully. And with that, the two of them left the office. After turning around the corridor, Ichigo struck conversation. So, what do you think so far? Ichigo asked. It's interesting, I guess. But my class sure are rowdy, especially Kagurazaka-san and Yukihiro-san. Momo replied. I see. Well, let's head over to the class and see what the old man wanted us to see. Ichigo said, walking ahead of Momo. Hi, Taicho. Momo agreed, following her captain. Wow, this place is really big. Negi commented, walking around slightly. Hey, you over there. A voice called out, causing Negi to falter slightly. Coming towards him was Hikari. do you need something? Negi asked. Aren't you a little young to be in an all-girls school? Especially when you're a boy? Hikari asked. Ah. You must be in one of the other classes. Negi stated, causing Hikari to raise her eyebrow slightly. That's correct, I'm the Aincho of Class 2D, Yagami Hikari. Though most of my friends call me Carrie. Hikari introduced herself. And I'm Negi Springfield, Class 2A's homeroom teacher. Negi introduced, bowing slightly. This caused Hikari to drop her jaw. Why? You're a teacher. At this age. Hikari cried out loud, looking at him with wide eyes. That's correct. I'm also the new English teacher. Negi added, making Hikari look astonished before a grin came on her face. Wow, that's neat. One of my pen pals from America is the same age as me, and he graduated from college 4 years ago. But you, a 9/10-year-old kid being a teacher, that's something else, Hikari chuckled. But I suggest you follow me. I was supposed to find Kurosaki-sensei and bring him to Class 2A, but I guess I can lead you there so long. Ah, thank you, Yagami-san. Negi thanked. No problem, just follow me. Hikari said, a cheerful smile on her face. Oh, and you can call me Hikari or Carrie, I don't mind which one you call me. As you wish, Hikari-san. Negi obliged, following the girl to his homeroom class. While walking there, he was taking in more of the sights, until... Oi! Springfield! Ichigo called out, causing the duet to stop. Ah! Ichigo-san! Negi called back. Kurosaki-sensei. I see you have one of the students leading you to Class 2A. Hikari said, smiling brightly. Yeah, well Hinamori is in Springfield's class. Ichigo replied casually. I see, well let's get there then for there's a surprise awaiting you too. Hikari said, smiling in a mysterious way. The group of 4 then reached Class 2A, waiting outside. Hikari smiled, and walked inside, making the other 3 follow. As soon as Ichigo, Momo and Negi entered, a loud cheer came out, causing them to halt in their steps. Yokoso Mahora Gakuen e, Negi-sensei / Kurosaki-sensei. All of classes 2A and 2D cried out, poppers coming out. Negi had a look of excitement on his face, as was Momo. Ichigo just had a slight smile on his face. However, there was a bit of silence until... Hey, who's the kid? That's Negi-sensei, our homeroom sensei. There was a dead silence, which caused Ichigo to give pity to Negi as he stepped away from him. And he was right to do so, when... Kawaii. Most of Class 2D ran out and engulfed Negi, hugging him and giggling. Is this what happened to him when he came into your class? Ichigo asked, leaning towards Momo. Yeah, but this is a lot more, better than what a few of my classmates did. Momo replied back. There was a lot of commotion until Takamichi and Shizuna came in, causing the girls to settle down. However, some of the girls got Ichigo and Negi to sit at the head of the table that they rearranged. Ichigo and Negi were chuckling slightly until Chao came towards them, with buns on a plate with Yatsuba behind her. Here, try some of these, yo they're my special meat buns. Have some. Chao said enthusiastically, making Ichigo and Negi take one each. After biting into them, Ichigo complimented on how nice they were, much to Chao's delight. On Negi's case, well, that was another story. His face turned a bright red and his eyes were watering slightly. Ichigo noticed this and grabbed a nearby glass of water, giving it to the younger child. Negi thanked him and chugged the water down as fast as he could. Ah. I'm sorry. I didn't know if they were too hot, yo. Chao apologized, her face showing worry and rejection. No, it was very nice, just a little too spicy. I am Welsh, so I'm not used to it yet. I should be the one to apologize. Negi replied back, making Chao smile. Kawaii. Madoka squealed, causing Ichigo to wince slightly. That, and his Japanese is really good. Sakurako added. Wow. With a welcome like this. Maybe I worried too much. Negi thought, taking a sip of his water. Ah no. Negi-sensei. A shy voice came out. Negi and Ichigo looked over to see Nodoka approaching them. Ah. Number 27, Miyazaki-san. The library monitor, right? Negi said, remembering what occurred earlier on. About that incident earlier, you saved me. Nodoka said shyly, trying to build up her courage. Please accept this book certificate as a token of my gratitude. And with that, Nodoka moved a coupon into Negi's hands, taking him by surprise. Honya is already going for Negi-sensei. Kazumi said, causing her to go beet red with embarrassment. No, that's not true, and my name isn't Honya. Nodoka stuttered, making a few of the girls to burst out laughing. What's this about saving her? Ichigo asked curiously, looking towards Negi. Well, earlier on while I was in the plaza going through the class register, I saw Miyazaki-san carrying a large stack of books and she fell off the stairs. So, I just rushed there as fast as I could and caught her, Negi explained. So that's why you have a few marks on your face. Momo added, looking at Negi. Well, it couldn't be helped. Negi stated. It is a teacher's job to protect his students. Atta boy. Ichigo said proudly, slapping Negi on his shoulder, which made the young mage wince slightly. While this was going on, Chao approached them until Kufei suddenly kicked her. This caused Ichigo to widen his eyes slightly and Negi to panic. No. Please stop fighting. Negi whined, as Chao and Kufei swapped blow for blow. Don't worry sensei, they are both trained martial artists. They know what they are doing. Ayaka said, making Negi calm down slightly. I don't recognize any of their moves. Are they Chinese? Ichigo asked. Yes, Kufei has never lost a fight in her stay at this school, and she is the captain of the school's martial arts team. Ayaka explained. Impressive. Ichigo said, nodding his head. The fight carried on until Kufei stopped a palm strike from Chao and brought her fist to a stop in front of Chao's face. Both smiled at each other and bowed, causing the room to go into applause. Shortly afterwards, Maki started showing her gymnastic acrobatics, followed by Madoka, Sakurako and Misa showing off their cheerleader moves. They were then followed by Aya and Setsuna attacking each other with bakens, making Ichigo to raise his eyebrow, revealing that he impressed and curious. Then Class 2A, except Momo, and 2D moved away from each other. This caused the three new people to get a little confused. Mizora smiled in mischief, before standing in front of the Class 2A with Ayaka, as the whole class begun to sing as one. Everything okay. 3, 2, 1. Go. Everything okay. As soon as Class 2D finished, Ichigo and Negi clapped their hands to them as well, making the class smile brightly. Well, what do you think so far, Negi-kun? Kurosaki-san. Takamichi asked. Not too bad, I guess I could get used to this. But I couldn't help but notice that one student from each class just stood there without singing. Ichigo replied. I agree with Ichigo-san. Rainy Day-san and that other girl were extremely silent, but I guess they have their reasons. Negi agreed, adding his 2 cents. Takamichi smiled at that. He then looked at the time on his watch and raised his eyebrows slightly. Well, wouldn't you know, it's that late already? Takamichi commented. Alright girls, it's time to pack up, you all have classes tomorrow. This caused a very long and collective whine coming from the girls as the 4 teachers chuckled lightly. Well. I'm off, see you two tomorrow morning. Takemichi said as he and Shizuna walked off. Ichigo raised his hand in acknowledgement, whilst Negi waved goodnight. Alright, which one of you lot is Sakurazaki? Ichigo called out, making everyone look up. That would be me. Setsuna said, gazing at Ichigo with her eyes. Good, the old man told me that you and your roommate are to allow Hinamori here to room with you. Ichigo said, pointing at Momo. Setsuna turned her gaze towards Momo and eyed her for a while. She then slowly nodded, making Momo sigh in relief. Just as the mass of girls were about to clear out, Ichigo called out again. And Tatsumiya, can you come here for a second? Ichigo called, making many of the girls to ponder on this, before they all left save Maki, Mizora and Kanoka. You wanted to see me? Mana said coolly. Yeah, the dean told me to inform you if you're okay with me bunking with you and your roommate. Ichigo said, scratching the back of his head slightly. Mana only raised her eyebrow as she heard this. That's alright with me, as long as you don't do anything suspicious. Are you okay with it, Zazie? Mana replied before turning to look at Zazie. Zazie merely nodded in agreement. Alright, follow us. Mana said, showing no emotion at all. Ichigo just shook his head slightly as he followed Mana and Zazie out of the class. Hey, Negi-sensei. Mizora asked. Ah, you're number 9, Kasuga-san. Negi asked. Yup. I just wanted to let you know that if you need a place to stay, you can bunk with me and Kokon. Mizora said casually. Or you can bunk with me and Asuna, Kanoka giggled. Or with me and AKO. Maki said cheerfully. Well, to be very honest, I don't want to be in the same room with Kagurazaka-san, so sorry, Kono-san, Negi apologized. And I think I will decide to be with Kasuga-san, as she rooms with someone from 2D, that way, I can get to know about both classes at once. Kanoka and Maki looked put down from this, but Kanoka cheered up immediately. Okay, then I'll be off, see you tomorrow, Negi-kun, Kanoka giggled cheerfully before slipping out of the room. Maki then smiled and said. But if you ever change your mind, our room is open to you. Maki sing-sang as she twirled out of the class. Well, let's go, Negi-sensei. Mizora said. Negi nodded and followed her out of the class. What the hell? Ichigo said with wide eyes as he walked into the room. On the walls were various weapons, mostly guns. From Desert Eagles to the MP5 assault rifle, from the M95.50 caliber sniper rifle to the .357 Magnum. There are even a few hand grenades, EMP grenades and flash bangs. What are you preparing for, a zombie apocalypse? Ichigo asked with raised eyebrows. I am a mercenary, so it is understandable that you would be surprised. Mana said, smirking slightly. However, they are only loaded with tranquilizer darts. That and you are not to touch them without my permission. Don't worry, I prefer to use close combat fighting. Ichigo replied as he dropped his bags on the ground. Ichigo then took out his pajamas and headed towards the bathroom. As soon as he changed and left the bathroom, he noticed that Mana and Zazie were already in their sleeping clothes. Ichigo then sat down on the floor and crossed his legs. This caused Mana to raise her eyebrow. You don't have to sleep on the floor, there is a sofa other there. Mana said, pointing to said item. Nah, I'm just going to meditate, something I haven't done for a while. Ichigo said as he closed his eyes. Odd, that looks like Jin Zen, the technique that skilled swordsmen use. Mana thought as she swapped a look with Zazie. Suddenly, there was slight pressure in the room as a small black energy encrusted with red escaped from a small wound on Ichigo's shoulder. And what is he, to have such power? Mana thought. A few minutes later, Ichigo opened his eye and got up, cricking a few bones and headed for the sofa. He then lied down on it and closed his eyes. He then felt something tossed onto him, making him open one eye, noticing a pillow and blanket on his chest. He saw Zazie move from the spare closet and jumped onto the bed, which would have made a gymnastic jealous. Ichigo grunted his thanks and turned over, closing his eyes. Mana then switched off the lights and closed her eyes as well. One thing is for sure, this will be an interesting year. Mana thought, before sleep came over her. Hey Kokone, I'm back. Mizora called out. Kokone looked up and her eyes widened slightly before returning to her normal, half-closed look. As you might have noticed, this is my new homeroom teacher, Negi Springfield. Mizora introduced Negi to her friend. And that is my best friend, Rosa Kokone Fatima. Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you, Rosa-san. Negi said, bowing slightly. Springfield. Kokone said quietly. Mizora looked surprised, before looking at Negi with a sly look. So, tell us, what's a Magister Magi in training doing here in Japan? Mizora asked, making Kokone to look up with curiosity. How did you know that? Negi gasped in horror. I saw and heard you earlier on today with that eraser. Incipio confestum vis magica, is what you used. Come on, that is the basic spell for something to hover. Mizora said, looking at Negi with disappointment. But, since you're a beginner, I guess that's all you can do. That's not true. I've defeated a golem before. Negi said defiantly. Kokone looked unimpressed, whilst Mizora laughed at this. A golem? Do you expect us to believe that? Mizora asked while laughing. Fine, if you don't believe me, what is your strongest spell? Negi said, pouting like the child he is. That's easy. Series Lucas. With that, I can fire a maximum of 12. Mizora stated with pride as Kokone nodded her head in agreement. Ha! Well, mine is far more powerful than that. Negi said, making both girls to widen their eyes. My most powerful spell happens to be Jovis Tempestus Fulgurans. This caused Mizora to gasp out in shock and Kokone to fall off her bed. The Jovis Tempestus Fulgurans? Mizora asked in shock. Of course, how did you expect me to pass from my school in full colors, Negi said, sticking his tongue out slightly. TCH. Until you can prove that and show us, then we'll believe you, Mizora said, scowling slightly with Kokone nodding her head. Well, how about this? Who do you know that has the same name as me, Negi asked, smirking slightly. This caused both girls to look at each other, before their eyes widened in shock and understanding. You have gotta be kidding me. You mean, you're related to the legendary 1000 MSTR? Mizora cried out. Of course, he's my father. Negi said in pride. Well, that explains that. Mizora said, shaking her head. But let's get to sleep, we have classes tomorrow. Negi and Kokone agreed and got changed. Mizora got onto her bed, with Kokone in the bunk above her. Negi settled on the couch before he fell asleep. Mizora got up and placed a blanket over him before going back to her bed. Good night, Kokone. Mizora said, snuggling into her bed. Good night. Mizora, Kokone said quietly. Ichigo got up with a start. His eyes were roaming the room cautiously, looking out for any sneak attacks from his rather eccentric father. However, his eyes widened when he remembered that he was not in his room in Karakura town, but somewhere in Mahou Academy. That explained why he saw the sleeping forms of Mana and Zazie in their bunk beds. Ichigo then got up, cricking his neck as he headed towards the bathroom to have a hot shower, taking his clothes for the day with him. After about 10 minutes, he came out fully dressed only to see Zazie's golden eyes looking at him right in the face. Gyroorg. With that, Ichigo stumbled backwards from the shock, falling on his backside in the process. Mana came from another part of the room, a double-barrel shotgun in her hands. She just raised an eyebrow in confusion at seeing Zazie looking at Ichigo, who was sitting on the floor with wide eyes and pointing his hand at Zazie. Don't do that, Ichigo said, getting up from the floor. What happened? Mana asked. Your friend scared me. Just as I came out of the bathroom, she was looking right at me. Ichigo said, calming down slightly. I see. Mana said, looking at her roommate. Not a normal human. Zazie whispered, causing Ichigo and Mana to raise their eyebrows, or in Ichigo's case, eyes. Mana then looked at Ichigo with a hard gaze, and Ichigo returned it with his normal scowl. Is there something wrong? Ichigo asked. Yes, there is, Mana said, narrowing her eyes. When Zazie says something like that, she is always correct. You're not normal, are you? Heh. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Ichigo challenged. Try me. Mana smirked. Ichigo raised his eyebrow, then resented. If you two must know, I'm not normal. Ichigo explained. Since I was very young, I've been able to see the spirits of the dearly departed. And my mother said that that was a special gift. That's all I'm going to explain. Mana and Zazie looked on curiously, noticing the slight pain in Ichigo's voice as soon as he mentioned his mother. Zazie just approached Ichigo, staring right into his eyes. What are you doing? Ichigo asked, not liking the position he was in. That's what she does when you don't fully explain something. Don't worry, she did it to me when I didn't mention that I was a Miko. Mana said. Wait, you're a Miko? As in those old shrine priestesses from the older days? Ichigo asked. I thought you said you were a mercenary. That's correct, I'm both, Mana said. I see. Well, I'm heading out, Ichigo said, walking towards the door. But he stopped at the door and smirked. Don't be late. And with that, he left. So, what did you find? Mana asked. He harbors pain and regret, something about his mother. Zazie said quietly. Mana just nodded, as she and Zazie started to get dressed. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Death Rider on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.